Good morning, Sandra here from AtelierVintageRose. Welcome to my channel and welcome to another episode of the hashtag Setmar Makes from Jill in Norwood. Hi Jill, welcome back. I hope you're doing fine. And yeah, I made a one-sheet wonder. I was just scribbling away in my notebook and I decided to make a one-sheet wonder that makes 15 cards for an A4 size printed paper and 14 cards for the letter size. And these two are just from scraps. So I want to show you that what I made, and what I used is this paper. The papers are from the new Craftroom kit, the Christmas Craftroom kit. It's called A Homemade Christmas, and I believe the Craftroom is going to reopen again. So just check the website from Shabby Art Boutique to see when you can join the craft room and join us, because the papers are gorgeous and the projects are very cute. She makes a lot of very nice things, and the design team, I'm a design team member, but the rest of the design team makes even more gorgeous things than I make. So yeah, this is the paper that I used, and just one sheet, maybe this holds it better on frame, one sheet of paper, and you can see that throughout all the cards. And I started with, I have a tutorial right after this. I started with just a plain white paper. I put an embossing folder, through it an embossing folder, and yeah, these are the pieces of paper, and then I embellished the card, and I did the same thing with the next one. But then I decided to get some background papers. So this again is that from piece of paper from the one sheet, and then I just put some background papers for the rest of the cards. And here I have another two white ones. So I decided to leave the rest with do the rest with background papers. I like that better. Let me start with the template that I made for you guys. These are the templates that I made, and they are linked in the description box below. The description box below this video is click on the word more, and then you can see all the information, all the links. So now a little tutorial will follow, and well, yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you next week. Have a great week. Bye bye. You take your templates. As you can see, it's the same. It's just the A4 has a little extra strip, and the like I said, this one is a little bit wider, but it's the same principle and the same measurements. So I will leave this in frame. The first one is, we are going to cut it at the red line, the first red line, and that means I have to cut off a strip of 3 inch from that top of the paper. So we can do that right now. I do it from the bottom, I see. Okay. Just a 3 inch strip. And that is going to be my first strip. And I'm going to divide that in 3 inches and 3 inches. So again, 3 inch and 3 inches. And that is going to be my A, B, and C pieces. So I'm going to write down A, B, and C. So I know I have these 3 done. The next line is the second line, and that is in 4 inches. All the centimeters are on your template as well. So this one is 4 inches. So I'm going to cut it at 4 inches. That's the second one. And what am I going to do here? Again, 3 inches and 3 inches. So that's this piece. And then this piece. That is the D. So I'm going to put that right here. Is that in frame? Where am I in frame? Here. I'm going to put them aside. This is the D, and then with the E part, we're going to cut that in half as well. So I'm going to start doing that. Cut that in half. So this is my E part, and this is my F part, like so. And then this one is G. That's the one where I made the tag from, but that's the G part, and you can leave all the parts as a whole as you like. Then we have back to the strip of paper, and then we have the 2 inches. So I'm going to put this in, and I see that I'm going to, the third line that I'm going to cut is 2 inches. And with that 2 inches line, I'm going to cut again one time. I'm going to cut it at 3 inches. So that's that one. That one is called H. I'm going to place that there. And then I have this long strip, and I'm going to divide that in 2. So that will probably be 1 inch. So I'm going to cut that in half here. And with that, we are going to mark this at 1/2 inches to make all the, what do you say, flags, I think. So, but first of all, I and G, and this one is K. There you go. And then for the letter size, you have a strip of 2 inch left over, but we have for the A4 size, we have a longer strip. So I'm first going to cut this at 2 inches. That is this one. Let me put this right here, and then I'm going to cut it at 3 and 3 again. So it's a very, very simple way of making a one sheet wonder. This is 3, that is an L, and then this is, the other one is M, and as you can see, I don't measure out all the end parts, so it's just the size that it is. And this is N. And then, as I said, we have a little strip left over here, and that is probably going to go just in the middle. I just cut it in the middle. And then later, I perhaps cut it on size of my card. But for now, I'm just cutting it in the middle. So that is the O part. Let me just mark that. And then I have all the pieces for my one sheet wonder all cut up. I will start with the A. The A is a block, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this one a ornament. So I'll put a cross in the middle of my paper. I take my compass and draw a circle, cut it out, and then make a little hanging thing above this, and then it will be an ornament. This I wanted to show you is how I make that little bulb ornament thingy. So I just punch out a hole, and then a little hole inside, and a circle, sorry, and then a little hole inside, and then I just drew that hanger there, and I did that with golden paper. So that's how you make your own Christmas ornament hangers. For the B card of the B part, I didn't cut it all the way, but I drew at every 1/2 inch and 1.5 inch and 2.5 inch. I marked my paper, and I drew lines like this, and I'm going to cut them as strips. So I will finish that right now. And this way you create a totally different piece of paper from one little block of paper, and then you can decorate it the way you want to decorate it. This is the second block of number B. Then for the C part, I already know that I want to cut out some little presents. I had Santa here and I thought I'm going to cut out presents. So you can use it like this in any shape way you like, but I'm going to cut out little presents and then I'm going to use that on that card. That's what I'm going to do with the C part. And this is what I did with number C. I divided it in little presents. Then I left this one as is. That's the D part. That's the 3 strips of paper. And this is D. I left it, just those 3 pieces. I divided it in 3 and I just glued them on. Because of the pink and white background, you don't really see the division. But yeah, it is there. So I did that. On every card I put stickles, and on every bulb, on every bow actually, I put these tiny little pearls. So I really like that. And this is another one. This is the E and the F. And as you can see, those are the pieces from that paper. So, and I really like these images. Thank you very much, Carrie Ann, for yet another fantastic kit. And this is the letter G. That's, I made a tag out of that. And all those pieces that I cut off, like where I cut out the circle, and if I cut off these ends, I'm going to save, because that's how I got the rest of the 2 cards. So that's that one with the girl. And then we have, I think this is H, and I made just blocks from 1 inch for that. And that's that one. And this one is the I part, but I also made 2 cards out of that, because I thought I'm going to draw some flags here. And then I saw that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flags for 1 card, but I also have 1, 2, 3, 4 flags for another card. So I can make 2 cards with just 1 strip of the paper I. And then we have E and G. And it turns out that from that little strip of paper, if you make the triangles, you get 4 for 1 card and 5 for the other card. So that's why this card is landscape. But yeah, I really like that. And everything is in the kit except for those 2 images. I just took those images from another kit. I believe it's an Etsy kit from her. And I glued that there. But the rest of all the images is in the craft room kit. So those are those 2 cards. That's I and G. Then the G, that is all the way over here. That is the G, and I'm just going to fold that and crumble it a little bit like this, and you know, like that. And then I'm going to place that over my paper, so like so. And then for K, I just folded this piece of paper, and that is right there with the gorgeous girl. Then this one is the long strip, that is K, but I divided it in 2. So this was the original strip. That was a big strip, and then I thought, hey, that's not good. So on the hindsight, I've divided that. So that will be N and K, I think. And then for L and M, I made these banners. And again, the pieces that you cut out here for these 2 banners, like so, you save. So I made that as L and M, but you could do totally different things with those 2 blocks of paper. And then this one is the L, and I have made a little envelope here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this piece off, and then I'm going to cut this piece off, and then I'm going to save those corners. So I will do that together with you now. This is the L piece, and you can keep it as is or just round the corners, but I am going to cut everything off here. So let me start by cutting it off here. That will be my envelope. Let me put this card in the middle so we can show it better. And this is going to be one of the corners for another card, and this is going to be one of the corners for another card. But with this one, I'm going to put that right here. And what I will do to make it look like more of an envelope, and I have a tag already that I can push like this and leave it hang out. But I'm going to bend this a little bit, so it's a little bit more 3D. And I'm going to get perhaps a 3D tape underneath it. Sorry, everything is falling now. A 3D tape underneath it. I think I'm going to do that. Let me see if I can have a little piece of that and just put some 3D tape underneath. So it is a little bit higher and it looks more like a little envelope. And then for this one, that's a cute one as well. That is N. So that's what I did with the L. And then for the people with A4 paper, you have a little strip left over. I called it M, I believe. And I just cut that in half. This is the piece that is left over, but I'm not going to do anything with that. But I'm going to put that on top and bottom, but that's only for the A4 size piece of people. And then the last one is only for the A4 papers, because we have a strip on the bottom and letter size does not have that room. They have a little bit of a wider paper, so your blocks will be your end blocks will be a little bit wider. That are those blocks C, G, and these two and the N. The A4 has a strip on the bottom, and I used that just to decorate this one. And then what I said, I used all the scraps to make this card. And these are all the scraps that I had from all the corners that I cut off. So that's that one. And then the last one is, I cut out the circle out of this, and I thought, well, that's another card. So that's how I came up with, well, I think these are 16 cards in total, but those are just 2 spare cards, and that's not in your one sheet wonder if you don't want that. You don't have to cut it all up. You can just use the blocks as you want. So with all this from one sheet of A4 or letter size paper. So the only thing is the letter size people do not have this card because they don't have this in their papers. But for the rest, you can make 15 cards or 16 if you like. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'm going to show you now the end result of my cards.